And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. Imagine in the footsteps of Muhammad Ali Jicho Pevu, Granton Samboja, Ayub Savula. That's right, we have journalists now who are seeking higher office on the very far end. Charles Karich just lost out in the recent UDA nominations in Bomet Central, but he was a big factor as a CEC in Nairobi County for 4 years. Right next to him, Patience Nyange, running for governor in Taita Taveta County, actually one of 11 candidates. 3 of those are women, and she's one of them. And right next to me, David Ohito. He once ran MP Ugenya in 2017. Now he's running mate to Nicholas Gumbo, who's running for governor of Siaya County. Journalists turned politicians is our topic tonight. Welcome to the bench, folks. Good to see you all.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good
to see you too.
Patience, ladies first. You said ini mwaka ya wanawake.
Mwaka wa kina mama.
Wa kina mama.
Ndio. Mwaka wa kina mama.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're determined, Taita Taveta, with 11 candidates in there. Okay, give us your background. People may not know who Patience Nyange is. Go on.
So I wear very many caps. Yeah, I'm not very sure which one to start with, but I am a daughter of Taita Taveta County. Many years ago, I was born in a small village, Kisorongoni, in Bale, Wundanyi constituency, and then schooled in Figinyi Primary School in Bale, and then went to Maria Girls High School in Bale, and thereafter went to Daystar University in Nairobi, Athi River, the very sunny area. And then after that, I went to start off as a journalist in Baraka FM Mombasa. I served there as a producer and a presenter for the afternoon drive show, 5 hours on air every day for about 3 years, and then left the country and went to Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation in Norway. And then after 2 to 3 years, I came back to Kenya and joined the BBC in Nairobi, and then worked as a broadcast mentor until the year 2012, and then joined the Ministry of Devolution and Planning as a communication advisor to the Cabinet Secretary, Madam Anne Waiguru, in the year 2014 all the way to 2016, and then left the ministry and went to Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, served under Madam Kagwire Mbogori, who you're hosting last week.
Yes.
That's one of my key mentors in life.
Amazing.
Amazing, right?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I love her with all my heart. Yes. And then in 2019, I left the country to go to the UK as a Chevening scholar under the British government scholarship. And then I went and did my master's there after having schooled in Nairobi University at some point as well. But then I came back in 2021. And my all focus was I have done about 20 years in various fields, including communications, media, human rights, diplomacy, and all I wanted to do was to go back to my county. My people have called me back at home. Please come home. It's time for you to come home. I have listened to their voice, and we have said as a community, this time round, we want to see a woman at the leadership of Taita Taveta County. We want a woman governor, and it's you, Patience, that we want. So yeah, that's my really background in a nutshell. I go by the title, Communications, Media and Advocacy Specialist. I love everything to do with communication. I love everything to do with media. All my background is within media. I am a journalist. I believe that I was born to be one, and that's where I thrive the best.
Kabisa, thanks so much for that, Patience. Good stuff. Charles Karich, tell us.
Good evening, viewers.
Good evening.
As they used to say.
Yes, exactly. Give us your background.
Born in Bomet, came to Nairobi to attend college, did my journalism diploma at KIMC. Started with a newspaper called Kenya Times, if you remember it.
Kenya Sometimes, yes.
And worked there for a while, moved to another newspaper, moved to some regional news agency at Chester House, and ended up at Radio Africa in the year 2000. That's when we were just starting Kiss FM. Of course, you know, FM stations were quite new at that time. We only had Capital and I think Metro. And we proceeded to start Classic 105. I became the editor and several others. I think 2007, I ended up in this media house in Royal Media. I came as the associate editor for radio. We had 9 radio stations here, all talking different languages. Nobody knows what they have in their news broadcast. So I came to bring some order. I was here for a while, then went back to Radio Africa. In the meantime, I did my degree in communication at Daystar University, proceeded to the University of Nairobi for my master's, where I am right now doing a PhD in communication. And in 2017, I left the media to join the county government of Nairobi. I went as a CEC for communication. in the government of Mike Sonko, His Excellency. And I got transferred to various dockets. So I ended up being the CC for finance. I ended up also handling the lands docket. At some point, I was in charge of health. And it was quite a rich experience. And that is where I was until February. Of course, before I joined the county, I'd also become the chairman of the Media Council of Kenya. So I left the media and the chairmanship of the Media Council to go into the county government, which again was a very strange experience. People would say, why are you leaving an orderly atmosphere to go into what looked like disorder? But I'm glad I had an interesting experience. I had interactions there where people would describe me as too corporate. And they say, why don't you allow us to do things kimta? And I didn't understand at the time. Yeah. I thought MCAs were very demanding people. But having gone through this nomination, I have actually really come to appreciate what a politician goes through. So much so that if I was a CEC again today, I think I would be more understanding to the MCA because of the demands that, you know, they really have to face with the electorate. Yeah. So I left the county. I went to contest in Bomet Central, in UDA. So we had our nomination. And as you know, in some areas, the nomination is actually the election. So when I did not win, I was actually whitewashed, if I may say so myself. I decided that let me now come back. I have tossed myself into politics. That's a very unfamiliar territory. I have chosen the party that I have contested in, namely UDA. So let me come and try and assist my party now to do the best it can in this coming election, which is to win the presidency and to win the governorship of Nairobi.
So are you part of the presidential communications team?
Not really. I have not found my space yet. But I am hoping to contribute something positively.
Okay. David Ohito, we had two great stories here. What is your story?
Thank you very much, Jeff. David Ohito is a career journalist. I served as a journalist for over 23 uninterrupted years. And then I did my first degree at Moi University. That was in government and public administration. Then I did a master's in communication at the University of Nairobi. That's about my academic background. Then worked for one media house called the Standard Media Group, switching from print, sometimes holding brief at KTN. Then I had a stint, the longest stint was in the digital platforms, where I was digital editor for the longest, one of the pioneer digital editors in Africa. I have had the chance to be at White House 3 times, had an interview with Barack Obama, and that was the moment in my journalism career. And I thank God for all those opportunities. Now in politics, I tried to run for Ugenya and lost in nominations, but Baba held my hands. He told me, you still got a future. Let's look for another opportunity. So I did not contest the loss. Supported the guy who beat me, my good friend Chris Karan, who went on to serve for, I think, just over a year before he lost also in the subsequent by-elections to David Ochieng, another good friend of mine. After leaving the Ugenya seat, we got an opportunity to serve in Mandera County government, where I've served in the last 4 years as chief of staff, basically and technically running the county government of Mandera, one of the best and progressive counties ever run in this soil called Kenya. I've just left there, and now I sit also as the Secretary General of the United Democratic Movement. And I'm in this race by default. I had not planned to be a running mate. I had planned to be a walking mate. But when my good friend Charles Sowino withdrew from the race, right, and we had just a window of 24 hours to substitute the name of the running mate, the party had not done a lot of recruitment. We are basically 3 of us who qualified to be there. 2 of my colleagues then had very good jobs. They had no intentions of leaving. So they agreed that I take up the job, and I've now moved from the step of working mate, I am a running mate. And come August 9th, David Ohito will floor a Goliath in Siaya.
And the person you're running alongside is?
One senior counsel, James Agri Bob Orengo, 42 years career in politics.
Wow. Wow. Okay, let me ask you guys, Patience, you first. What's the difference? How different is it from the journalistic field to the political field?
Well, it's very different. It's extremely different. I imagined all my life I have worked with politicians. I have worked around politicians. But being in politics is very different. It is. In many ways. I wake up and my diary is completely different. You know, in a normal newsroom setting, it's because I think I've done many things outside the newsroom. I've done, like I just recently resigned as a board member at the Media Council of Kenya. I also serve as a delegate at large representing Africa, the Global Alliance of Public Relations and Communications Professionals. I serve as a board member at Emerging Leaders Foundation. So I have many other titles besides what I do or besides my normal day at a newsroom. So my day has been meeting with the electorates, explaining to them who I am, explaining my agenda, talking to people, listening to where they are, listening to their grievances, listening to, how hopeless they feel and how they want really change. Everyone talks about change, but really unpacking what change is very hard for everyone. So you hear their cries. They probably have an idea. They could easily draw it to you and show you, this is what you want. But then the idea is, how do we get there? So it's different when you are writing about politicians. It's different when you're interviewing politicians. You're talking to them, you're following their journey, but then now you're on the other side. So everything that I say, for me, I look at it from a journalistic perspective. What makes news? What do they want to hear? And then, of course, I'm very happy because I have a public relations background as well. And in my understanding, what are people looking for? Everyone is looking for an emotional appeal to what you say. Are you touching me? Are you talking to me in a way I understand? This is where you find me, but how can you help me? And electorates just want, I think for me, really, what I've understood is really a basic thrival mechanism. I want to survive the day. Today I don't have school fees for my kids. I want my children in school. I don't have food for my children, for my family. I want food in my house. How do I get there? So it's very hard to explain to anyone or to sell the idea. In 5 years' time, you'll have money to take your kids without looking for a politician. Or in 3 years' time, you'll have food at the table because we have empowered you to be able to be a different person, to have stuff that you can easily say, this is mine. So I listen to people. At times, I listen to stories, and I almost shed my tears, and I think a number of times I've actually done so. And I feel the helplessness, but I know for sure we have a role to play. And as electorates, we are where we are because of the decisions we made like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But again, we are almost making the same mistake, I will call it. And it's very hard to explain to anyone. If you vote person X, you're making a mistake there.
Yeah.
Yeah? So what we write when you listen to politicians is with the stories that they give you. But there's a lot that goes at the background, I will say, that you don't see as a reporter. Until you are there, now you have worn the shoe of a politician, you understand exactly what it goes through.
Sure.
Yeah.
David Ohito, you're saying earlier on, the candidate you're running with, or your partner, is Nicholas Gumbo, right?
Yes. Engineer Nicholas Gumbo Wajonya is the main candidate for governor. I'm going to deputize him.
And you're running against
James Agri Bob Orengo, senior counsel, a mentor of mine in politics, who has been doing a 42-year career in politics.
You think you're going to send him home?
We are confident. We are with the people. And I don't want you to look at the opinion polls because they look very bad now. And he knows himself that time for him is up. But he stands a lucky chance because should Raila win, he's got something up here.
So he'll have a soft landing somewhere.
Yes. So my counterpart on the other end is William Udwal-Denge, an economist, a good gentleman. But we are up, very way up above them.
Yeah.
We are confident that on the 10th, we shall give Siaya a new face and take it to the next level.
Karich, tell me something. What is it like going from celebrity, if you will, celebrity to a politician? What was it like? Because, you were there at Radio Africa from the onset. Those were the good old days. And then you enter the mud pits, if you will, of Nairobi County. What was that like?
It's an interesting journey that you must prepare yourself to take. Because you can very easily stay in the comfort zone. The newsroom is a really nice place to be. Sure. Anybody you call will pick your call until you start imagining that your peers with President Uhuru Kenyatta and DP William Ruto, because they will pick your call and you will have tea. But you're really not there yet. So it's a call to leadership that for me, in fact, the decision to leave the newsroom came out of recognizing that this structure that we have does not have room up there for growth. So it is very well to get a pay rise every year. Everybody would love to have a pay rise every year. But at some point, you begin to get curious and say, what else is out there? When you are in a newsroom for over 2 decades, that is your life. And one thing I always tell journalists is that they do not appreciate enough what journalism does. Mm-hmm. Journalism gives you a perspective of the world that nobody else has. The accountant sitting here does not look at the world the way you do, Jeff. Because journalism really opens your mind in a way that you can fit into almost every type of situation that you find. I used to tell people that when I was a reporter, you would be in Mukuru in the morning trading mud with people and listening to their issues about illegal electricity connections underground. And by evening or by lunchtime, you have finished, you've come, you've filed your story. Lunchtime, you are in another place in a CEO's boardroom, and evening, you're taking cocktails at Serena. All in a day's work. And the person you met at the slum has to be relatable in how you talk to him. But by evening, when you're getting a seat next to a CEO at Serena, you must then be able to elevate your conversation and still be able to talk and relate to that person. So it makes you a really rounded person. And the most confounding thing for me was when you leave private sector, where you have a cushy job, you have a high salary, and it's all about you. And you go to a public sector and realize that a small decision that you make has so much more impact on the lives of so many people that you wonder and say, oh, wow, just because I made a decision that we should pay KEMSA their outstanding amounts that we owe, has released medicine that now all the clinics are stuffed. So that you realize that in public sector, if you are in a decision-making position and you are interested in doing good, you can impact on the lives of so many people. Now, that is completely different from being in the C-suite of a bank. Because at the bank, they will give you club membership at the country club where you and I go to and so on. But in the public sector, sometimes you have to take a drastic pay cut. And everybody's asking, why are you leaving a big salary to go and, earn something smaller? But you do actually get some level of satisfaction that is beyond explanation when you use that public office to do good for people. Yeah. So for me, it was almost like a natural progression, even leaving then the county government to seek leadership. I never really considered myself a politician, even when I was seeking the seat of MP. I wanted to provide the leadership that I saw was possibly not there, or that I could do better. Because again, with that journalism background, I am able to identify the issues that people are facing, and I'm able to tell people, look, you do not have to just rely on this CDF money that is being given to you. There is so much money out there. There are agencies like KERA that have money for building roads that you must be able to go and engage so that they can bring it to you. There are agencies like KENHA, people doing last mile connectivity are here, and this is how to get additional resources, so that don't just count on this little, and I know where to get it. So you talk in such a manner that you think you're the Messiah. And people say, we have never heard anybody talking like this. In fact, you're the person we've been waiting for. In fact, you're the first person to step in this village of ours. So you do a head count and you say there are about 600 people here. By the way they are nodding their heads, I think, I have 500 votes. And then the results come and you have 20 votes at that polling station. And you wonder, my God, what happened?
Yeah, and they said you were the best
what
thing
happened?
since sliced
I thought,
bread.
I have laid the plans and exactly how I'm going to do it. And then you realize that, maybe... there are some other considerations that people make just beyond. For example, you see in the South Rift Valley where I come from, the dominant party is UDA. And UDA slogan has to do with promoting hustle. And some people have taken that very literally and seriously. So that when you're contesting, somebody will say, but this guy is already driving a nice big 4x4. And this other person who is contesting against, has just being a teacher and maybe does not even have a car. Why don't we give this one so that they can also get to elevate themselves? And you wonder, was that the yardstick, the consideration? Did it have to do with the fact that if you seem to be well-to-do, therefore you are not really a hustler, so to speak? Right. And you just realize this is a completely different ball game that you have gotten into. It's not the newsroom you're used to. It's not the sources that you deal with. But it then boils down to relatability. Being able to go down and relate to people in a manner that they feel that they own you. Otherwise, they might even consider you a stranger. Yeah. There are issues of identity that come in. I was born in Bomet, where I was contesting. I have spent more than 2/3 of my life in Nairobi. When I go to Bomet, they'll say, you Nairobi people. Yeah. But when I'm in Nairobi, you hear Nairobi people saying, there are people in Nairobi wa kukuja. They were not born here. So where do you belong? Yeah. Is home where you were born? Is it where you live? Where are you? Yeah. But those are things that you really think about and say, okay, maybe next time I will be able to relate with these things better.
Great story. Patience, tell me, how do you get to fund a campaign like this for governor of a county like Taita Taveta? Where'd you get the funding for that? And do you give handouts like all the politicians we see on TV?
Yeah, interesting question. Mungu anasaidia. God provides. I mean, it's a tough journey, I would say, and it's one of the very expensive journey I have been in all my life. And as I said, I feel like at the beginning, the way you say you're in this journey, but you were not prepared well enough, or they didn't tell you what it means, or they didn't tell you this is what it means. So my assumption at the beginning was, I need money for logistics. And in my understanding of logistics is my movement from one place to another so that I can meet with the electorates and explain to them my aspirations for Taita Taveta. It's a county that I love with all my heart. I am born and bred in Taita Taveta, and I love Taita Taveta. I love my parents. I love my aunties. I love my cousins. I love everything about Taita Taveta. It's a very beautiful county. But every time I go home, my heart sinks. Every time I see my cousins, we are very few in Taita Taveta, less than 400,000 people. So ideally, we are all related. We all know each other. You know somebody who knows somebody, you know somebody who knows somebody. And so every time I look at them and I'm like, we can't all do borders, and we can't all say we're going to ask politicians for handouts, or we're going to ask politicians to help us pay our school fees. I feel like the Taita Taveta people deserve a better life. With all the resources that we have in the county, talk about wildlife, talk about the vast mineral resources we have. There's something I'm missing in Taita Taveta County. And when I feel like I have really known where the problem is, then my heart is to just go home and change the fortunes there. And then I get there and I'm like, oh my God, this is probably what I didn't sign for. You wake up in the morning, and if I go to my village where I was born, because I live in various places within Taita Taveta County, every time they see you get home, you already know that there will be people looking for you, and they're asking for help, genuine help. You can tell, especially when the schools are opening, everyone has really a rise in the schools. Everyone wants help with the school fees for their children. And in the evening, as you go home, of course, you meet with people, you meet with border people. They have really looked for money for the whole day. They haven't had much, and all they see is, tusaidia mama. Mama tusaidie, mama we ni mzazi, mama watoto wako utendaje nyumbani hivi hivi. And you know they have given them, I mean these wordings that they use. You get, and I will try and allow me to use a lot of Taita words because that's really the community that I am in. You go to Taveta and how they say it is mama tuachie maisha. Mama tuachie maisha. So their understanding is mama tuachie kitu kidogo, tuachie maisha yetu ya leo tuendelee hapo kesho. Ukifika Taita, because we have Taita, Taveta is on the other side and then there's Taita. So Taita really you have Voi, Mwatate and Undanyi. The understanding there is nisigie chochose. So ideally is tuachie chochote kile. So the amount of money that you end up giving out, and for me I've told them, you know, I am here to change my fortunes, to tell you what it is that I aspire to change, how the county looks like. And I want to bring, my biggest agenda in Taita Taveta is really investments. It's one of the counties after 9 years of devolution, we do not even have a single investment, can we say, kiwanda kimoja ambacho ni cha Taita Taveta. None. Nothing
to be proud of?
Nothing. And for me, I've said, I have cracked where the deal is. We need investment opportunities for our people. I have the investors at hand, they're waiting for Patience Nyange to become the governor. They will come to Taita Taveta County, or they will invest. And I've told people many times, people give money to people. Because you trust me, Jeff, you will be able to give me the cash that you want me to, you know, to invest in. And because you trust Patience, they will be there to help Patience. Because my desire is genuine. My desire is really sincere desire for me to build investments in my community where the young people, the generation that is coming up, they have something to call their own. They have money at the end of the day and they can easily say, this is a block we have. And I'm looking at a new Taita Taveta that has opportunities in Undanyi, Voi, Taveta, Mwatate. And you know, for example, one manufacturing industry has absorbed 1,000 people. In my 5 years term, 5 years, as I said, we are not many. And because it's not everyone looking for a job. Others are looking for casual, others are looking for permanent employment. We will be able to absorb as many as we can. So then, hatutatoa handouts. There'll be people there will be no people asking for mama tuachie chochote, mama tuachie maisha.
What factory is that?
So what we're trying, we have worked hard with my strategy team. I have really brilliant minds that are working with me, and we're trying to see that we make the constituencies very competitive. So in Undanyi, we want to make it the agricultural zone and try and see that this is where we have the best of the milk production that you can get, the best of the greens, and all the groceries come from that side. And then you get to Mwatate, which is predominantly a mining zone, and make it the mining zone. We have minerals in Taita Taveta that could make Taita Taveta one of the spoken about counties, one of the richest counties. And then we get to Voi, which is more cosmopolitan, and make an EPZ there so we can try and see, because there are many people coming from various sectors in Voi, and make it the economic hub in Voi. When we get to Taveta, they have fruits, you know, they have all sorts of, and we can easily make it, that's the production where we have a lot of bananas from that side. So we want to try and see that each constituency becomes a selling point, has a selling point on its own, then there's more competition within the constituencies. And so with our generation that is coming behind us, you don't have to be born in my village, as I said, Kisorongonyi, get married in Ballot, have your kids raised in Ballot or schooled in Ballot, get married there, and then die in Ballot. No, we want to see that our young people can even move within the constituencies. A lot of the time you hear people talking about uhasama kati ya watu wa Taita na Taveta. We want to try and see that that gets, you know, leveled up. And it's great. Our desire is to see that people move across. When your child is you're coming from Taveta and your child is in Taita, you respect Taita people. There's really no bad blood. And when you're in Taita and your daughter is probably married in Taveta, it becomes one small community. So we want to unify Taita Taveta and make it really one small community that we all love each other and we don't look at each other, wale ni wa Taveta, wale ni wa Taita. No. So we are hoping that it's tough financing for this, but the whole idea is I have had very supportive friends supporting me through this journey. My family has been very supportive. I've had a few people calling and saying, can I fuel your car today, Patience? And they will send me money to do that. Patience, you need some merchandise. Can I buy a few t-shirts? Yes. But for me, the truth is, kufika hapa mali tumefika, ni Mungu ametubeba. Ni ngumu sana, Jeff, I will not lie to you. But I'm optimistic. It's not about money. And that's the narrative that I'm telling my people. We are here where we are because of the love of 50 shillings, 250 shillings, 500 shillings. At what cost for 5 years? So for me, the idea is to tell my people, I don't have much money, but I come with big hopes and dreams. The dream to change my community, to see that everyone else has something that they can say, chakula mezani na pesa mfukononi mwao.
Absolutely. I want to take a break, folks. Come back. And David, I'll start with you because you said you were Chief of Staff in Mandera County for the last 4 or 5 years, right?
Yes.
I want to know, how does Mandera County compare with Siaya, where you're about to go?
Way different.
Okay, save that answer. Plenty more ahead. One of our own, 3 of our own actually, running for top offices. This is amazing to see, folks. Journalism to politics, it is possible. Listen to the folks here. And they're in the right place at the right time. Question is, are you ready for them? By the way, do you guys talk to Muhammad Ali Jicho Pevu? Do you talk to your friends, Samboja?
Yeah,
You're up against Samboja.
We're friends. We're friends.
You're friends. Probably related in some way. You said you're all related.
You're all related. Yeah. And Maha is my very good friend as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Jeff Koinange, keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.